All right, I want to thank Danny Zimmerman for making the suggestion. He asked me to review Officer Brandon Tatum's content on the William McNeil traffic stop. If you're new to the channel, my name is Dominic Izzo. I'm a retired police officer from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I was a field training officer, an FTO, use of force instructor, defensive tactics expert, and somebody who actually has done the job extensively in a great area with some phenomenal damn cops. Brandon Tatum, I'm going to remove my bias from this. I don't care for Brandon Tatum, and I want to see, do I agree with him on his points, or is he backpedaling from his content? Brandon Tatum, many years ago, about 4 years ago, he watched my content and he put up online that I am a racist and I am the problem in law enforcement. So Brandon Tatum doesn't like when people critique him, but he sure as shit has no problem passing judgment on others. So I'm going to remove that from the side. I'm going to go, okay, we're going to hear what he has to say about this. Make sure, if you want to critique videos with me, you want to go over these things, guys, I appreciate all of you. The calls, the emails, the voicemails, the text messages. I'm one. If you go to patreon.com/CopTalkLive, we are creating a culture and a community to make these changes. Your voice is needed. I can bring up the conversations. You can do the action just as hard, if not harder than I am. There are many of you who have skills that I don't. Patreon.com, become a member. We have a weekly roll call and a monthly town hall. I don't care if you hate the police and you want to see change, or if you support the police and you want to see change. We have to go according to the Constitution. We need your voice, your support, and your abilities. Let's watch this. This is Lackluster's critique of Officer Brandon Tatum, who's no longer a police officer for many years now, and Officer Tatum's rebuttal of this. This is the closest I can get to seeing if I agree with Tatum or if I counter, because he's not going to have me on his platform to discuss this. So let's take a look.
Tatum thinks that the officers used a proportionate amount of force for the situation because he's a bootlicking moron.
If you don't know what you're talking about, don't make a video about Brandon Tatum. That's it. To make a video calling me a bootlicker and all kind of other stuff when you have no idea what you're talking about according to the law, you have no idea what you're talking about according to police interactions, you have no idea what you're talking about according to what you claimed that I said and the positions that you said I took and didn't take.
That's a good thing I do, Brandon. So I know a lot about this subject, more than most. So let's hear what you have to say and let's see whether or not we agree.
Listen, y'all, the system you and sent me a video last night and said, hey man, this guy is talking real crazy about you, man. It's crazy. He's saying all these negative things about you, and I said, let me check out the video. And this is regarding the police incident that occurred in February, that we just now hearing of it because the guy is a grifter and he want to make money off of police interaction, and not because he really cared that he was done wrong by police, in my opinion.
Okay, did you call out Rahm Emanuel and the city of Chicago when the Laquan McDonald black man knife was shot and killed? When he was shot and killed and that body camera footage was suppressed for, I believe, 18 months because it was an election cycle and Emanuel could not afford to have that out to lose the election. If you're going to have this same type of rhetoric and condemning somebody for when they choose, we don't know when McNeil went to an attorney or when he went to find an attorney. It could have taken him several months to find somebody who would have taken this case, because we get police interactions are in the millions. How do we know that he didn't release it way back when and it got like 5 views and nobody cared? We don't know what his intent is. You cannot. If you're going to say, let's start this right here, Brandon. If you are going to say that McNeil's intent was to go ahead and be a grifter and scam the system for money, then I'm going to say every one of those cops on scene, including the black ones, were looking to thump a black guy that was driving through their neighborhood, and McNeil just happened to be the one that drove through their neighborhood that day. So we'll take that. Since you know so well what's in the heart and mind of this man, then we can absolutely take the stance that we all know what the mind of the cops were. I'm glad we set that precedence.
So I'd never heard of this guy before. I don't even know the name of his social media thing.
Lackluster.
It's Lackluster, I think is what it's called, which is pretty ironic, because I'm getting ready to debunk this gentleman every step of the way on this video. This is the easiest debunking that I'm ever gonna do probably in my life. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't make a video about Brandon Tatum. That's it. put your biases aside, put your anti-police rhetoric aside, do some research before you decide to make a video calling me a bootlicker and all kind of other stuff when you have no idea what you're talking about according to the law. You have no idea what you're talking about according to police interactions. You have no idea what you're talking about according to what you claimed that I said and the positions that you said I took and didn't take.
All right, remember, I'm putting my bias aside. You called me a racist publicly. You put my content up and said, this guy is a racist and the problem in law enforcement. I am putting my bias aside. You know nothing about me. I'm going to hear what you have to say and see if we align. I won't be shocked if we do. Maybe there is some common ground. I am willing to put my biases aside, as you said.
Ladies and gentlemen, get this guy on the show. I'm finna debunk him every step of the way. Roll the clip.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Today's video is a response to the one I made yesterday. I released that video with the information that I had at the time, and since that video, the sheriff has released the body cam footage and has made a statement. Apparently, there's a police report out as well.
The cell phone camera footage that began viral circulation over the weekend does not comprehensively capture the circumstances surrounding this incident. Tonight, I'm sharing the footage from the body-worn cameras of the arresting officer, Officer D. Bowers, and two of the assisting officers, Officer D. Miller and Officer G. Curse.
We'll include some of that and review some of what Officer Brandon Tatum says on his Substack. Most of you know who he is and know that he can make some ridiculous claims.
Okay.
And in this case, it is no different. First, he claims that the full body cam has been released, and while most of the relevant footage has been posted, we have only been granted the opportunity to view the incident from a few angles that the sheriff's office decided to show.
The currently available information and play the relevant body-worn camera.
Second,
current relevant body-worn camera. That doesn't mean that they pick and choose and show you this angle and cut this angle. It's relevant, meaning the body-worn camera that's released that shows the incident at hand. That means that if you were involved in this incident, the body-worn camera was shown. If you had no involvement in this incident, there's no need to show the body-worn camera during a press conference. The first lie he made. Roll it.
I have no idea what your point is on that one. Maybe I'm lost, but I would assume that's a complete... You're not going to take video footage of somebody whose back was to the scene and they were filming birds or some type of other occurrence in their backyard. You may talk to them. They said, hey, did you happen to pick this up on your cell phone cameras when you're doing it? But it's the par and course for every other police investigation out there. So I don't know what you debunked him on, because I didn't hear him say anything that wasn't untrue.
Bold lettering that JSO was justified in the force used against McNeil. He follows this statement by claiming that only the palm strike was being reviewed to determine whether it was in policy, and fails to mention the several other punches inflicted to McNeil despite agreeing to exit the vehicle.
Step out now. All right.
And placing his hands behind his back.
Behind your back! I'm resisting! Behind your back!
Within his defense of complete dog shit, he claims that nothing was criminal in the officer's actions. And sure, the DA hasn't filed criminal charges. But we
Stop right there. The DA, the state district attorney's office, deemed, according to the chief, that there was no criminal action conducted by the law enforcement officers on scene, who watched the amateur video from the suspect and also watched the body-worn camera footage and all relevant footage that's made available.
Well, that's probably because right now, if it was criminal, it would be a federal offense. It would be a violation of his Fourth Amendment and his excessive punishment, cruel and unusual punishment, right? Because of what they were doing. So the DA charges on a state level. It would have to be a federal level for due process. And we also know cops operate under Graham v. Connor for use of force, objectively reasonable. So it's the biggest margin of error to lower the threshold of whatever force they use. And they have qualified immunity, right? It's a blanket overall protection as long as they're acting righteously within the use of a force continuum based on their exercising of the law. See, the problem is, too, the articulation factor is insane. I don't want to because it'll make me fucking feel like a scumbag. I could do a video and I could review the use of force that was done to McNeil, and I could make it fit policy, and I could make it fit Graham v. Connor. It's all how you articulate the law. That's why cops get away with shit all the time. It's ambiguous behind it. Well, the strikes were this, and the palm strike was this and that, and you can articulate all of this. This is the biggest problem we have in law enforcement, and nothing will change until people are willing to say, who are pro-law enforcement, no, this was unacceptable. This was excessive. This was a federal level violation of somebody's civil rights. We're not there yet. So as far as the lack of criminal charges, it's a state level. We need to have federal charges. So when a cop is exercising force in the application of doing their duty, there's not going to be criminal charges because you're based on intent. There was no crime there. Federally, it's a violation of somebody's civil rights. Needs to be federal charging. Department of Justice needs to get involved.
And they decided that there was no criminal activity. They decided there was no criminality. Not Brandon Tatum. The state prosecutor said that it was no criminality. Now, when you can't, now if the state prosecutor said that there was criminality and the officers were wrong, Buddy over here would have said accepted it. But guess what he says about the prosecutor now that the prosecutor don't agree with him? Roll the clip.
The government to protect itself.
Oh, it
the
protects
DA
itself.
is often referred to as the county's top.
Yeah, Brandon, it does protect itself. It's 100% it protects itself. It's protects itself from liability, from being sued. You're not going to get somebody come out from the brass position and say, yeah, the officer fucked up. They're not going to do it. Lawsuit central. The county will be sued for hundreds of millions of dollars, opening up lawsuits to everyone. So they're not going to admit it. Their job is to protect themselves and shield themselves from lawsuits and investigations.
Cop, no charges, does not mean no criminal activity. Tatum correctly states that the law gives officers discretion to use reasonable force during arrests, but incorrectly adds that that's what we saw in the video. So,
Time out. How is what I'm saying incorrect when the state prosecutor agrees with what I'm saying, and also the police chief agrees with what I'm saying, that there's no criminality?
Because all three of you are fucking wrong. All three of you are wrong. Yes, there is criminality on a federal level. His due process was violated. He was punished excessively. And Fourth Amendment, he was seized, which, again, I have a problem with. Because, again, if we're going to go back to that, if we can stretch all the way back to that initial stop, that's traffic stop. That traffic stop needs to be looked into by the definition of inclement weather. If that's the case, it was not inclement weather. If we're really going to go and split hairs on this, it was an illegal traffic stop. Therefore, his seizure, his Fourth Amendment rights were violated. Criminal on a federal level. Your guys' small brains are thinking state charges. There needs to be federal charges on these cops.
Afoot. He mentioned that he will continue the investigation of whether or not it was in department policy, which I wrote in my op-ed that he's referring to. But of course he don't want to show that part because he's trying to make his own point, which is ridiculous. Roll it.
Before we watched the video.
Why is it ridiculous? See, your stuff is ad hominem off the beginning. You have a problem with, lackluster, fitting name, and you're accusing McNeil of being a grifter. All of your content is sensationalist. Every one of our stuff. You only grab attention with sensational titles and sensational thumbnails. Don't act like he's doing something you don't do on a daily fucking basis. Keep it to the facts of the traffic stops and stop attacking personal bullshit.
Let's discuss what reasonable force is and when officers are lawfully allowed to use it. We can start with the first body cam of the deputy that initiated the stop and compare it to Tatum's assertions. He claims that McNeil's headlights were not on and that he was not wearing a seatbelt.
All right, again, how do you know, Tatum? You didn't see. You were not there. You're going off of what the information after the fact was, like the rest of us. The driver, or the initial cop, said unknown occupants, which means he could not see inside of the vehicle. And the windows of the vehicle were tinted, which kind of defends people who flat out said, well, then how can you pull it was a racist stop? Shitbag car. I'm going to tell you flat out, anyone who lies about not profiling vehicles because we know who's driving, you're a fucking liar. If it's a Chrysler 300, we know it's going to be Hispanic or a black guy driving it, right? So there's no way the initial officer who pulled the traffic stop could see the seatbelt being secured or not. So we don't know. We're going off of his words. I do not believe the dash cam footage can show it clear enough, and we have to go off of the words of the officer. So again, Tatum, you're asserting things that were done after the fact, and we always believe the cops, period.
The suspended license and having marijuana are facts that
I will add, I have said this was racially motivated. How? Because once you make contact with the driver and you see what skin color is, you can continue on your bias on that. It's a black guy. I'm going to write him for everything. Oh, it's a black guy. He wants to resist me. I'm going to rip him out of the car. It's a black guy. This and that. If this was a Buick, a 2025 Buick with a white guy in a suit driving in it, it would have been, hey, sir, just turn your headlights on. Have a great day. And anybody who is challenging me on that, you are so fucking full of shit. You know it.
were only revealed as a result of an unlawful traffic stop conducted by JSO. The probable cause.
None of that is relevant. What I articulated in my op-ed is all of the circumstances surrounding his detention, arrest, and his resistance. So I don't have to separate the two when I'm talking about the totality of circumstances. All of those things he was found guilty of in the court of law. And then also...
No, he wasn't found guilty of it yet. So I don't know what court you're into. He's been accused. He still has a presumption of innocence because he hasn't gone to court yet.
It does matter if a person is driving on suspended driver's license and they do have drugs on their person. Because what? It explains why he was resisting arrest and acting a fool. It wasn't because he didn't understand the law. It was because he didn't want to go to jail.
How do you know? Are you in that person's head? Or is that something you know for certain? Now, I want to go back to a point that you made here. I want to back up. I want to get your words out of this when you held up on this.
In my op-ed is all of the circumstances surrounding his detention, arrest, and his resistance. So I don't have to separate the two when I'm talking about the totality of circumstances.
Yes, you do, Brandon, because you have a responsibility for things, seeing as you're a public figure, especially leveraged by conservatives, as a black man with law enforcement experience. Let's go directly to your post on this when this came out. Now, this was when the information came out. Brandon Tatum, Officer Brandon Tatum, body camera released. William Anthony McNeil's arrest was justified. He was resisting lawful orders, had a knife, and was in possession of drugs. You very conveniently took the totality of the circumstances and put him in a post where people believe what you say because of the authority in your past as a police officer, and the morons that are out there that believe everything think that he was pulled over and arrested because of the knife and the drugs. That's your compound sentence right there with no separation. Because what you should have done was he was resisting arrest after a equipment violation traffic stop, and subsequently, upon being taken into custody, was found to be in possession of a large knife and drugs. That is the responsible way of distributing information if you truly want police to be held at the highest standard possible in the highest regard as public. So it's good to see you backpedaling when it fits your ass for defending your position.
All of those things he was found guilty of in the court of law. And then also, it does matter if a person is driving on suspended driver's license and they do have drugs on their person. Because what? It explains why he was resisting arrest and acting a fool. Wasn't because he didn't understand the law. It was because he didn't want to go to jail.
Now, I've talked about that extensively in videos where I said this current generation does not process information the way that Tatum's does or mine did. They were never told because I said so, and they need to have all the information possible. I am leaning on the fact that these current kids on the street who have driver's license, kids I say because they're several years, if not decades younger than me, they don't understand. They have too much influence online thinking they can resist all the time. Teachers, employers, parents, and cops. And again, too, words matter. He was in possession of a knife. The knife was on the floorboard of the vehicle, the floor. He wasn't in his hands. It wasn't in his lap. It wasn't in the passenger seat next to him. That's like saying if he had a bazooka in the car in the trunk, disassembled, locked up. He was in possession of a bazooka. It's all how you paint the picture for your clicks and likes. So you can't get butthurt and defensive when you're being called out for this, because you're just as bad as spreading misinformation.
Therefore, you can paint the whole picture in totality of circumstances. Roll it.
As is stated by the deputy, was that his headlights weren't on. But again, the law states during any rain, smoke, or fog.
Time out. Inclement weather, rain, smoke, fog. It also talks about sunrise, sunset. There's reasons that you have to have your lights illuminated. He did not have his lights on. He did not deny that his lights were not on. He did not skirt these charges when he went to court. Now, they decided to keep him on the bigger charges and dismiss the other ones because the other ones were criminal. So you don't try to charge him with both. But he still was found responsible. He did deny responsibility. No one has said that the officers were wrong on the initial traffic stop. Why? Because I
will say they're wrong. It's not something we pull people over for. It just isn't. Unless you want to search a vehicle for drugs or weapons, or check the driver for warrants. That's it. Inclement weather. Look up inclement weather. It's going to have some severity to it. It's not just rain and fog. It's visibility conditions. And anybody can see from that stop that, in my professional and personal opinion, inclement weather does not fit the description of what is needed for headlights. That's why this is so subjective. This is an extremely weak probable cause traffic stop, and everything else after that should be looked at as fruit of the poisonous tree. The traffic stop should be deemed illegal. It should be, because there's no way you can justify not having, especially the hypocrisy. 3 of the 5 squad cars that pulled up did not have their traffic lights on, or their headlights on. They didn't. So again, if we're going to charge the driver for that, the police officers 100% need to be held criminally responsible for that same vehicle code in the state of Florida. We need to start doing this, and we need to start getting really fucking petty if we're going to ask police to be held accountable, if we're going to see some real change and actually support them.
Prove to you that this is inclement weather and it was raining. All right, Nick, let's get the exhibit.
It had rained. So at what point can you turn the lights off? Because we see drops on the car, but we see no drops continuing during the time. We hear no rain on the body camera. So what does the law say about when you have to turn those lights off? And then how soon? Oh, I see 3 drops. Got to turn the lights on. When the drops stop, because no windshield wipers are being moved on his car either. How long? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? An hour? How long does a driver have to wait before they can turn their headlights off again? This is complete subjective perception when it comes to this traffic stop, and I can't stand it. It's insane how the hill that these cops were willing to die on for this.
Ready? Because you're going to hear this guy talk about it. You see people say it online. It's the most asinine and ridiculous claim. It's because they hate police and they always want the police to be wrong, so they will make up anything. It wasn't raining. Look at this video. That
could be anything, Brandon. He could have gone past a tree on the side of the road where the droplets were coming down post-rain. We don't see, there is no running rain on here. Now, I'm from Illinois, the Midwest. We get a lot of rain. This is post-rain. This is drops that could have been splashed up by a car driving in the lane next to him. This is drops that could have come off the hood of the vehicle and saturated the rest of the car. There is no running droplets indicating that it was currently raining at the truck. He could have gone through a fucking car wash and not hit the blowers on the way out. This is not proof of rain whatsoever.
Fresh rain droplets still hanging onto his vehicle. If
it rained 20 minutes ago and there's no sun to come out to dry it off, it's still gonna be fucking wet. It's not that hard, Brandon, to say, man, this is a shitty stop, dude. These cops really fucking stretched this in order to get a black guy into custody.
Somehow it wasn't inclement weather, which means it wasn't raining at all. You wouldn't still see rain droplets on his car. Inclement weather doesn't mean that it's only inclement at the instant that it's raining. And then if it stopped raining for 30 minutes or 30 seconds, then all of a sudden it's not inclement anymore. It's not just the rain.
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. Because if it's not raining anymore, it's not inclement weather anymore. The definition of inclement weather. Inclement weather refers to severe or harsh weather conditions that can disrupt daily routines or pose safety risks or cause damage to property. What is considered inclement weather? Any severe, catastrophic weather conditions which delay the scheduled arrival or departure of a common carrier, but not including normal seasonal changes and not including normal seasonal climate weather changes. So this does not fit the definition of inclement weather, Brandon. You're wrong. The cops were wrong.
Rain and rainy conditions. That's what the hazardous life.
Tap dance. Little Sammy Davis Jr., Sandy Duncan, Gregory Hines. Well done. Come on, Brandon, keep going with this. Die on this fucking hill, please. It was not inclement weather. Big guy, it's okay to say, I was wrong. The cops were wrong. It's okay. Eat the shit sandwich. I've done it many times on my content.
Lights and putting your lights on is for the conditions that's associated with rain. When it rains, visibility is lower. There's rain on the streets. People need to have better visibility when driving. That's what the spirit of the law says. That's why no one contested that he was pulled over rightfully. You would not.
We all contested it. We're all still contesting it. It was a bullshit traffic stop, Brandon. You're the one who's fucking dying on this hill just to be right because you don't want to be wrong. You're wrong. It's okay. I've done it. Sir, you're free to go. I thought you had your seatbelt off. You don't. It's secured. I was wrong. Have a great day. I've done that before. It's not. This is a pride issue. This is completely a issue of pride.
Not have rain droplets on your car if it had not been raining. The ground is wet.
If it had not been raining, correct. The ground was wet. The ground can be wet and you can still drive. You should be more concerned about brakes or tires at that point. You can have the sun come out after it has rained and the ground is still wet. Inclement weather, severe, that impedes normal traffic or flow of traffic getting to a destination. There is no impediment of normal travel at this point. Maybe speeding. If it was traveling too fast for conditions, that'd be a better stop because the conditions, wet roadway. You're going to die on the hill. You are 100% wrong. The more you're dying on this hill, the more you're showing this was an illegal traffic stop. This was a Fourth Amendment violation. The Department of Justice needs to get involved, and they need to federally charge the initial officer for his stop.
It is raining, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
maybe
it's not.
it stopped raining for a small period of time. That does not preclude the justification of having your lights on during inclement weather. All right, let's go back.
If it doesn't preclude, you can't sound any more stupid, my guy. So that means if it stops, then he should keep his windshield wipers on because there was a 20-minute pause between it rained, but it's going to rain again. So you are not allowed to turn your headlights or your windshield wipers off because the rain's going to come again. The rain's going to come again, right? Your argument, you just realize you used the word had, past tense. Past tense. I didn't know that McNeil or the cop were weathermen who were able to say, hey, listen, you got 5 more minutes to drive like this. Turn those headlights back on because the inclement weather is coming back. The inclement weather argument is complete horseshit, and everything after the stop needs to be looked at. Brandon Tatum, thank you. You just completely aided in the defense's argument of the inclement weather because your definition as a law enforcement former professional, someone who still has officer in his title, so the world should listen to you. You're a conservative mouthpiece, and the world knows you. So Officer Brandon Tatum just told you it had rained, and he misspoke about the definition of inclement. So if he didn't know it and the cops didn't know it, everything's got to be tossed out. We need to look at federal charges on the cops.
Back to the video.
None of which were present. And as to the claims of not wearing a seatbelt, the officer transmits over the radio that he did.
All right, let's look at this again, Brandon. I want to look at this. Do we see
Inclement weather. All right, let's go back to the video.
Let's see if the cop
None of
has
which were
windshield
present.
wipers going.
And as to the claims of not wearing a seatbelt, the officer transmits over the radio that he didn't have any details about the occupant.
I did not see the windshield wipers going from within that squad cruiser. Didn't see it. So the rain had stopped. There was no inclement weather. The traffic stop was illegal.
Or occupants of the vehicle.
Hold on.
Prior to
Having any details about the occupant or occupant's vehicle has nothing to do with visible observation of a seatbelt in a traffic light or not having your lights on.
What? Yes, it does. We're going to question his credibility. If he can't see how many occupants are in the vehicle, how can we determine that he can accurately see whether or not the driver was wearing a seatbelt? This is you can't be this stupid, or you can't be this disingenuous. That's 100% has a correlation. If you cannot see or state with certainty large mass shapes, shoulders, heads, and you can't count who's occupying front seat passenger, rear seat occupants, how can you accurately see a little 2.5-inch piece of cloth that's covered by maybe 3 to 4 inches of space? How can you see that if you can't see the amount of occupants who are in a vehicle? Okay, let's keep going.
Not having, I guess, information about the people in the car means that I didn't get his driver's license. I didn't talk to him. I'm not sure if there's other people in the car. It's not that I didn't see him driving.
I gotta back up. This is a friggin' Kamala Harris word salad here. I want to hear this again.
the occupant or occupants of the vehicle.
Hold on.
Prior to
Having any details about the occupant or occupant's vehicle has nothing to do with visible observation of a seatbelt in a traffic light or not having your lights on. Not having, I guess, information about the people in the car means that I didn't get his driver's license. I didn't talk to him. I'm not sure if there's other people in the car.
No. The cop called out over dispatch unknown occupants. Unknown occupants. That's what he said. He was not able to identify how many occupants were in the vehicle. You are now saying that after the initial stop, he was not able to identify anyone in the car. Plus, the visual ability to identify things, 100%. The observations is what a police officer bases their probable cause for a traffic stop on. You're incredible.
It's not that I didn't see him driving with no headlights on and no seatbelt before I pulled him over. Just for reference.
That's literally what it fucking is. That's literally the cause of the traffic stop. Maybe. Comment in the comment section if I'm stupid or not. I've got to hear this again. This is incredible. I'm going to listen to him talk
Go
about the
back
whole
to the
thing.
video.
none of which were present. And as to the claims of not wearing a seatbelt, the officer transmits over the radio that he didn't have any details about the occupant or occupants of the vehicle.
Hold on.
Prior to
Correct. When he called out, traffic stop, unknown occupants. He was notifying dispatch that he did not know how many people were in the car. What does Officer Brandon Tatum translate this as?
Having any details about the occupant or occupant's vehicle has nothing to do with visible observation of a seatbelt in a traffic light or not having your lights on. Not having, I guess, information about the people in the car means that I didn't get his driver's license. I didn't talk to him. I'm not sure if there's other people in the car. It's not that I didn't see him driving with no headlights on and no seatbelt before I pulled him over. Just for
You are the dumbest man. Please leave this video up. There's a level of mental retardation that is going through your head. because literally the observations are what the traffic offenses, both moving violation are, equipment violation, so the non-headlights on in inclement weather, the seatbelt being failed to secure, and the police officer, the contact officer, the initiating traffic officer stated that unknown occupants. You are stating that means, well, he didn't investigate the people that were in the car. My first thing is, Brandon, you didn't watch the body camera footage. You didn't. 100%. I don't believe you watched the body camera footage at all.
Reference. He got pulled over. This is the result of him getting pulled over. This is where he stopped. The cop observed his lights not being on and observed him not having a seatbelt on. So he conducted.
Not possible. It was not possible. He observed that seatbelt not being on with inclement weather. Somebody tell me, unless this cop has eyesight of an eagle, if the weather's inclement, if it was raining, if there were tinted windows, and he couldn't see how many occupants were in the car, how the fuck did he see that he was not wearing his seatbelt? Please explain that one away.
Looked at a traffic stop. He pulled here and stopped. What are we saying? The cop is pulling him over because of his observations of the no seatbelt, in which the suspect never denied. Roll the clip.
McNeil.
For you guys, I'm going to suffer through the rest of this. This man is extremely unintelligent. He only got appointed to the position of where he's at because of his conservative support as a black man. That's it. And the title of where he's at. If he removed the title from his stuff years ago, he would have no relevancy whatsoever.
Opening his door.
Yeah, Florida 24 Bravo Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia. I don't like this.
These two facts eliminate all probable cause for the entire stop, which means everything that occurs after this moment was unlawful.
I agree. I'm going to say this right now. Based on Officer Brandon Tatum's assessment of what inclement weather is, the definition of it, and the totality of the circumstances, it was an unlawful traffic stop. It was not currently raining. That car, I don't know where this car came from. It could have just come in from someone's driveway. Car could have had rain on it. Trees, condensation from the leaves could have fell on it. He gets in the car. It is not raining. He travels down the road. We don't have any of that information yet to my knowledge. It's not the visible conditions on the road. Daylight seemed like. The argument that it was inclement weather, again, going with unknown ability to identify how many occupants are in the vehicle, the tinted windows, inclement weather, that negates the cops seeing a seatbelt violation. So in the totality of the circumstances, based on how this is, I believe this was an illegal traffic stop. This was a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Everything after that, then, if the cops violate someone's Fourth Amendment, everything is criminal after that on a federal level.
Hold on.
And
it's a lie. I just disproved that.
No, you didn't.
I just proved inclement weather, which the court agrees with me on.
Oh, my God. The court didn't agree with you on it yet, Brandon, because he's still presumed innocent. He hasn't gone, was this already done? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong on that, because I'm thinking this is right. So this was done in February. If it came on that, how do we know McNeil didn't plea? I don't know what the outcome is of the McNeil case. I don't know if he pled to the inclement weather condition or traffic ticket. And I'm going to tell you this, too. Does anyone think that the court is not going to look at the severity of that video and a black man having the shit beat out of him in today's society, and the court's not going to go, fuck, we can't dismiss this ticket. Because if we dismiss this ticket, we're fucked. 100%. They will triple the fuck down, and they were probably fighting McNeil. I don't know. Somebody put in the comment section, did McNeil get crump after he was convicted of everything? Did McNeil have a public defender in the beginning who said, you need to plea, we're going to plea down to this ticket? I don't know what any of that is, so I'm going to admit to that. If the courts agreed with it, I also know how manipulative of it is. They are. I absolutely know how in cahoots they are. It's a corrupt fucking system.
And everybody with a brainstem does. And then I just proved that the seatbelt violation, the officer observed seatbelt violation. He was charged with all these things, and he did not deny any of these claims.
I've been to court countless times for traffic. You know, you go to traffic court, it's always a pain in the ass. I hate it. And it's always my word against the driver. Do you think the judge ever ruled against my word? Cops, always. Their word is always the gospel truth in court. Always. So it's going to, because there's this assumption that the cops are always going to tell the truth, that they always have integrity. I have integrity. I always told the truth. Never fucking lie. There's not a lot of cops out there like that. So you really think that a cop is going to say, oh, I didn't see the seatbelt, Your Honor? You cannot prove, what is this saying? You can't prove a negative? You can't prove that he didn't see it either. This is the problem. It's McNeil's word against the cops. It's very simple.
He only denied that, well, it's not raining. That's not the totality of the inclement weather statute. But when he said you didn't have a seatbelt on, he didn't deny the seatbelt violation not one time. And then there's people that's going to say, well, they pulled.
Again, I don't know what the court transcript says. I don't know what his lawyer said. Hey, listen, you better just do a plea deal. How many people do plea deals for murder when they claim they never committed murder on anybody, right? And they never murdered anybody. But hey, you're going to get 25 years or you can plead to this and you'll get 5 years. How often does that happen, Brandon? All the time in America. All the fucking time in America. So do not act like this is anything special or eye-opening to the world. It's how the system is done, and the system's extremely corrupt. So again, it's a load of bullshit. I do not know what the defense attorney said. Hey, you got to plead to this, otherwise they're going after you for the 5 years, right? They're going after you for resisting. They want to put you in jail for 5 years. Defense attorneys, especially by the state, are extremely lazy. They want to get the plea deals done, and they want to get it out. They do not want to do work because they don't get paid.
The seatbelt off of him when he got out of the car. Yeah, because when he shut the door and was getting crazy and pulling his camera up, he put his seatbelt on. That's what he did. So he could say, look, I had my seatbelt on, but you didn't have your seatbelt on when you got pulled over.
How do you know, Brandon? You're taking the cop's word for it. That is impossible for you to state that as fact. If he took it off when he opened the door, put it back on. Here's what that's telling me right there. It's a force of habit. Close the door, put the seatbelt on. I could argue that's what my client does. Every time he gets in the car and he puts a seatbelt on, he immediately secures his seatbelt. So he was just acting as a motor response to what he normally does. Classically conditioned, got in the car, shut the door after the cop made contact and put a seatbelt right back on. It is impossible, and it is a lie for you to state that you know for certain whether or not he had his seatbelt on based on his admittance in court, because he could have said yes just to take a fucking plea deal. The fact that you're not acknowledging this means you're a fucking lying scumbag.
Roll the clip.
Only occurred because the deputies on scene were untrained as to their profession, but even worse still is that the responding officer was not wearing a seatbelt, and several of the other backup units also failed to use their headlights. It's a good thing that...
Time out. You can't make this up. The responding officer wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Well, police officers, anybody that know anything about policing, when you pull up to a traffic stop, many cops, when they hit the lights or whatever, they take their seatbelt off. Police officers are exempt from traffic violation laws in certain circumstances. Why would the officer pull his seatbelt off while he's conducting a traffic stop?
I don't want to get personal. This guy's a fucking clown. So he's saying that it's okay that because based on classical conditionings that when I pull up to a stop, I'm automatically going to take my seatbelt off. But he can't say that when the driver closes the door that he automatically puts his seatbelt on. Yeah, Brandon, you are a bootlicker. Pick a side. You are fucking licking on these boots so hard, the black leather is tainting your tongue. You look like a chow dog at this point.
Because if suspect number one takes off running, you can get out of the car and react. If suspect number one pulls a gun on you, you can maneuver and react. Cops do not have to wear a seatbelt when conducting a traffic stop if they believe or deem that it is reasonable to take the seatbelt off.
And a driver doesn't have to have the seatbelt down when the car is in park either. Car was pulled over in park. The only time that the responding or initiating traffic stop cop saw that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt was after he started to make contact coming up close to the door. Hey, you didn't have your seatbelt on. Well, that's because I put the car in gear and I was reaching for my wallet to get it ready for you for the fucking traffic stop. So I had to take my seatbelt off. Brandon, you cannot be this disingenuously stupid and still think that you have an ounce of credibility, especially in the topic of law enforcement.
For all these various reasons that I mentioned. And then when we talk about headlights, the lights and sirens control the lights of the vehicle.
Nope.
They control the lights of the vehicle. So when you turn your light.
When the lights are on, every vehicle, to my knowledge, when the lights are on, they alternate flash. When they're off, they don't. I did this content when all vehicles pulled up. The headlights were not activated. Squad number 2 pulls up, puts in park, pins this guy in, and then turns his lights on. The other squads that come up that are caught on body camera, their headlights are not alternately flashing with that being activated all the way into code 3. They're not. I'm sorry, they're not. So again, know what you're talking about, Brandon.
It's on. It takes over headlights, upper lights, and all kinds of lights. Also,
in stage 1, the way that ours were, only in the back, so that I could be on a traffic stop and it's a car that has disabled auto. I got to wait for a tow. I don't want the car in front of me being blinded by my red and blues going on, so I put it in toggle 1, and the red lights and my tail lights and my strobes on the back are going to be on to identify the drivers coming up. Hey, I'm on a stop here. Some of you have seen it. You go past and the lights aren't in front or on. The second position is no strobes. It is only red and blues. That's it. The third position is red and blues, or blues if you're in Chicago, reds if you're in New York, blues if you're in Boston, and the strobes flash. The strobes are connected to the headlights. We did not see the strobes going off in the headlights as these guys pulled up.
Oh, officers are not obligated, depending on the circumstances, to follow traffic laws. They have
just say officers are hypocritical pieces of shit. I have an easier time accepting that.
to drive with due regard, and they have all of these exemptions that you can find right in the law. You can look it up yourself, or you want me to give you the chapter and verse, I can. But officers are not
Why, when you can't even fucking describe inclement weather properly?
obligated to abide by all the traffic laws, especially when they're responding code 3, responding to an incident. That's why you can see a police officer sitting on the side of the road with no lights on. That's why a police officer can respond to the scene and go past the speed limit. If the officers had to abide by every traffic law, then they'll be in trouble right now because they were speeding to get to this thing. If a person decides to drive off in a police officer, they can't pursue because then they'll be breaking the law of going over the speed limit. There's exemptions from officers in the law depending on the circumstances, and these circumstances don't necessitate police officers to follow every traffic law. Roll the clip.
That means, and here's where you're a hypocritical liar as well too, they were operating their vehicles normally before going code 3 to the stop, which means they were driving without their headlights on. And here's where I may be wrong. Maybe they were parked. Maybe these cops were parked doing reports. Maybe they were parked doing running radar, drinking coffee, and their lights were off. When they started to drive, or if they were driving, their headlights were not on. So again, Brandon, you are wrong.
It wasn't unlawful to do so, but let's pretend that it was. And by refusing to identify here, McNeil was breaking the law.
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that?
I don't have a window that works.
Look how tinted these windows are. Somebody want to tell me how you can tell whether or not this guy was wearing his seatbelt? Well, based on the fact he opened the door and the seatbelt was off? How can you defend that? How can you defend that? That's happened to me before. Hey, just so you know, you didn't have your seatbelt on. I just took it off. I just took it off on the stop here. I better been damn sure I saw it, A, to stop the vehicle in the first place. B, cars no longer have, I think in the late 90s, were the last times you had really full, transparent windows. They don't have them anymore. It was so easy to see inside of it. You could see in a dash cam, look, he's not wearing a seatbelt. Those days are gone. It's not possible with window tint like this to state for certain you saw the driver without his seatbelt. It's a little 2-inch piece of cloth material by about 3 to 4 inches where the shoulders are at. Can't see it.
Is there a reason that you're pulling me over?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. 2 things, you're not wearing your seatbelt.
It's daylight. I don't need the lights. And it's not weather.
Don't forget, this is 4 o'clock, 4:20 in the afternoon, 4:18. And where's the rain, Brandon? It's not raining. Where's the inclement weather?
It's daylights. I don't need the lights, and it's not raining. That's not. He's wrong, right? Daylight is not the parameters here. And then you can see rain droplets on his car. So while he was driving, it is raining.
No, it is not. Go outside, Brandon. Go outside until you get rained on. Stand outside. Let me stand above you on a ladder. Let me piss on you, and let me say, "Hey, Brandon, am I currently pissing on your face? Or is there resonance of my urine because I stopped pissing on your face 30 seconds ago and the dewdrops of my body's excrement fluid still on your face? Why is your clothing still wet, Brandon?" Again, you are dying on this hill because you don't want to see cops wrong. And lately, you fucking hate black people. It's all over your content.
So none of that's a moot point. Roll it.
It's not raining.
This is inclement.
It's not raining.
Notice how he glanced right over that again. Just go, oh, that's a moot point. No, it's not. It's the entirety of the stop. It's an extremely, extremely important point to take a look at.
Parameters here. And then you can see rain droplets on his car. So while he was driving, it is raining. So none of that's a moot point. Roll it.
It's not raining.
This is inclement.
It's not raining.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over. Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me?
I've never seen anybody, too, keep the door open that wide when it is raining. And, I do know culture. The black community is very big on their shoes. They don't like them dirty. Can't step on them, can't scuff on them. Do we really think that a black kid is going to have his shoes outside of the vehicle where it's currently raining and going to potentially ruin them? I don't see anybody kind of, hey, officer, it's raining. What do you need? We don't see any rain falling whatsoever. But according to Brandon, it's magic rain. It's magic rain that's happening right now.
77, 35. I'm properly driver. I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No.
Step out of the vehicle.
Specifically, this would be resisting, obstructing, and delay in Florida, as they do not have a refusal to ID law. Next, Tatum thinks that the officers used a proportionate amount of force for the situation.
All right, as we move forward into this, we're going to get into the use of force portion. Based on all the totality information of the body camera footage we have seen in this last week, and now with the expert testimony of professional Brandon Tatum, who completely negated the concept of what definitions are and molded them into his narrative for his spin, I have the position the traffic stop was illegal. There was no probable cause for the traffic stop. That's my position. There was no inclement weather, and you cannot definitively determine whether or not the driver had his seatbelt on. If he pled to that in court, that's part of his plea deal, and whatever him and his attorney at the time discussed, that does not prove that he was not wearing his seatbelt or that he actually was aware that it was raining. We all see the evidence from it. There is no rain, no running water, no droplets, no officers shielding themselves or kind of like wiping anything from rain that was coming down. It was not raining. There was no inclement weather and no way of determining the seatbelt. Therefore, the probable cause for the stop was bad. I believe this was an illegal seizure and a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Now, if it was correct, if it was lawful, now we're going to go, because apparently Tatum thinks it was, we have to look at the use of force that is going to be used on taking McNeil into custody. Do the cops have a lawful right to take him, to remove him from the vehicle? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Can they break the window? Yes, they can. So I'm fine with get out of the car. No, it's obstructing. Fine, it's passive resistance. Am I fine with them breaking the window? Sadly, if it's lawful, yes. So we're going to act as if it's lawful, which it wasn't, and we're going to sit there and listen to what the points are that Tatum argues with.
Because he's a bootlicking moron.
The law requires that a person comply with the police officer's commands during a traffic stop.
To understand why, let's look at the law that Tatum fails to explain in his obvious GPT article. Reasonable force is determined by two cases, Graham v. Connor and Tennessee v. Garner. Together, they've created use of force guidelines for law enforcement.
Okay.
First,
Tennessee versus Garner is a fleeing felon, and I believe, like in Illinois, there was 15, I don't know what is that now, 15 fleeing felon cases or incidents where you could shoot somebody using deadly force, if you will. And Graham v. Connor is objectively reasonable standard and the officers, the totality of the circumstances, the severity of the crime. So again, let's say this was a lawful stop. No seatbelt, headlights were out. How severe was this crime? Now, they're not taking him into custody for that. They're taking him into custody for passive resistance, which they've said many times, non-violent resistance. So he's not fleeing and he's not fighting. For all intents and purposes, he's sitting like a protester, arms locked on the side of the road saying, I'm not moving. Move me. So what's the severity of the crime? What's the totality of the circumstances? And what's the standard that other objectively reasonable officers would deem the force was necessary to take him into custody?
Court must judge the officers based on the Fourth Amendment's objective reasonableness test. This requires officers to base their use of force on the totality of the facts and circumstances. Here, the entire case for the deputies fails immediately due to the insufficient probable cause.
Hold on. The state attorney's office deemed that they followed the law and there was nothing criminal in their use of force.
Brandon, the state's attorney's office initially prosecutes before all this happens, right? Go to traffic court, go to state court, because now it's a criminal charge. It's the state's job to prosecute. They get with, the state winds up calling the officer and reviews the case, and they send it through for prosecutorial purposes, and then they make a plea deal. I will bet anything this was pled. That McNeil didn't fight this because he didn't know he could. That he went on the advice of counsel and said, okay, I'll plead guilty to this. Fine. $2,000 fine, and you're on probation for 18 months, right? The state, it's their job to prosecute. So before your argument ensues that they didn't find anything wrong with the stop, they're not going to be looking for anything wrong with the stop. They are acting on the guise that every single stop is completely fucking lawful. The state never looks and goes, I've never had this before. Never in my career. You talk to a state attorney, it's a DUI, it's a subject fleeing from a domestic, it's a retail theft. Whenever a vehicle is pulled over that's connected to a crime, either a traffic stop, violations, an equipment violation or moving violation, and then result of that is you get cannabis, you get a warrant arrest, retail theft subject, domestic subject, whatever it is. The state has never said, hey, yeah, officers, are you sure that your stop was legal? They've never said that. I have said, I pulled a RO observed, and then I put in the report the observation of the reason why I did the traffic stop. Vehicle crossed the double yellow lines with his left front and rear tires. Vehicle failed to use a turn signal when entering in the westbound lane. Vehicle did not come to a complete stop at the traffic indicated stop sign. Vehicle X, Y, and Z was observed to be doing 35 miles an hour in a 20 mile an hour zone, as observed on my properly calibrated radar detector mounted on my dash that I've been trained and certified to use. They never said, oh yeah, are you sure about all that? So when you're going to say the state never, it's because the state never fucking wastes their time to dig into whether or not the cop actually did their job the right way, because they're acting on the information as if the cops have integrity and they always do things the right way. So what you're about to say coming out of your mouth is the stupidest fucking thing in the world.
Where is this guy getting his theology from. This is not something that hasn't been litigated yet. This is not a brand new occurrence. This happened in February. He brought his complaint like a couple days ago or whatever when he released this video. This was investigated internally, investigated from the state's attorney's office.
I arrested 40 DUIs. 40 DUIs in 2015. Myself and my partner, Matt, who we did a live podcast a couple weeks ago. If you watch our lives that we do on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can take your calls in on Cop Talk Live. Matt and I were in competition who could do the most DUIs that year, and they were all righteous. I mean, they were all righteous DUIs, and I cannot stand people who drive drunk. 40 between January 1st and the last DUI I think I wrote was late September of that year, maybe September, October. I never went to court once. Never. All of my DUIs were pled down by our village attorney. Village attorney goes in because it's a money-making scheme. All right, well, and they normally plead it down to reckless driving. So by Brandon Tatum's logic, I want to present this as the People's Exhibit A. I never arrested anyone for reckless driving. It was either equipment violation, speeding with a marked indicated number violation, usually 13 miles an hour or over, maybe a traffic collision, anything. One guy was sleeping at the wheel of his car. There was not one charge ever. Pay attention, Brandon. Pay attention. I know you were a cop for just, the ink wasn't even dry on your fucking academy certificate yet, and then you quit law enforcement. But out of all the 40 DUIs I arrested, not one charge ever was reckless driving. Reckless driving is kind of hard to prove too. You have to sit there and articulate the circumstances of the road, the conditions, the driver's actions. It's not that easy to prove. There were a lot of my cases that were pled down from DUI to reckless driving. Well, wait a second. That means the driver has on their criminal history and their license, they were convicted of reckless driving. How could somebody help me understand this? Because maybe I'm not as intelligent as I think I was, right? I scored a 16 on my high school ACT. I'm a community college dropout. I went for one semester, dropped out. So I'm not a very intelligent man. But if I never stopped anybody, if I never issued a citation of reckless driving, how could they have reckless driving on the conviction of their driving criminal history? Oh, it's part of the fucking plea deal. Brandon, tell us you know nothing about law enforcement without telling us you know nothing about law enforcement.
And they deemed that there is nothing there. Now, you could say Graham versus Connor and the use of force case law, but none of that applies here clearly because they were all deemed to be acting according to the law within reason. Roll the clip.
Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia. I know like this.
But if the vehicle extraction was lawful, the amount of force used must take into consideration the severity of the crime, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat, and whether they were actively resisting or attempting to flee. By now, you may have heard that McNeil had a knife, but who the fuck doesn't? It was never in his hand, and upon review of the video, he never even reached for it, despite
this is the thing that people don't think about with him. He has a big serrated knife that's probably 12 inches long on his floorboard. Who rides around with a knife like this? It's not real.
I do. I ride around with a K-bar, Brandon. You know what a K-bar is? I ride around in the K-bar between my seat and the gear column for the purpose of cutting my seatbelt off. God forbid I am pinned in the vehicle in an accident. I carry a folding knife in my left pocket. If I'm pinned, I cannot get to my folding knife because I'm short and I'm wide and my hips are against the door. I cannot remove that knife from my pocket. So the K-bar is for my right hand access to come up and slice the seatbelt off if I am pinned in the car. I carry a knife. I don't know what else to tell you. Well, on that, don't forget, Brandon Tatum, you stated he was resisting lawful orders, had a knife, and was in possession of drugs. Remember, that knife, Brandon, is on the floor. Wasn't really in his possession, because don't forget to. They're going to say, your defense attorneys for shitbags too. You have a gun broken down in the vehicle, carried lawfully. If I go traveling to the state, out of state, and I'm going to Michigan or Minnesota, up to my cousin's place and fire guns, I'm going to break them down. I'm going to secure them, lock them up, remove the ammunition from them, keep them in a separate pouch. I have my Illinois FOID firearms owned identification card on me, and I'm going to have them in the trunk of the car. You could say I had a gun, because I did, but no one's talking about the circumstances of it. You want to stretch this, Brandon? Don't forget, you sensationalized this off the bat. You fucking are part of this problem.
Reasonable to have a knife like this. People in the comment section or anybody watching this, how many of y'all drive around with a hunting knife this big laying on your floorboard? Nobody carries a knife like this. That means he can't, but that also speaks to his character and speaks to the danger.
Wait, what did you just say, Brandon? What did you just say? I want to hear that part again.
Hunting knife this big laying on your floorboard. Nobody carries a knife like this. That mean he can't?
Does that mean he can't? Look at you. You're so fucking afraid to admit you're wrong. You're a lying, corrupt cop apologist scumbag. You have zero credibility in this topic. You need to remove Officer Brandon Tatum. You are poisoning the profession of law enforcement every time you open your fucking mouth on this topic.
But that also speaks to his character and speaks to the danger that was present when they were conducting the traffic stop.
What danger was present, Brandon? Because now if that's the case, so now you want to say pre-crime? Is that what you're saying? So he had a knife. How was he dangerous? Because I didn't see him pick it up and get ready to slash the fucking cops who wound up punching him. He sat there with his hands like this, his arms folded. Never once was there any furtive movement where he reached down to the floor. So if he was that fucking dangerous, why didn't he grab the knife? Why didn't he fight back? Why was he so passive in his resistance? Brandon, you hate black people. I get it. I understand it. It's fine. Black people have a significant problem from within their community with the culture that is committing 52 to 53% of the violence in America right now, and you are willing to pin it on any fucking kid who breaks the law, has a baggie of weed on him, and has dreads. I get it. You have a bias. Remember in the beginning of this video, Brandon, you stated, get rid of your biases. It is impossible, and it is completely irresponsible for you to state the state of mind that this subject was in or his intentions, because you don't fucking know. If that's the case, then every one of these backwood hillbilly motherfucking cops that were on this stop were looking to lynch a fucking black man. They couldn't wait to get this nigger out of the car and beat the shit out of him. That's your position. That's my position with all these cops and their mindset. You are fucking ruining law enforcement with your bullshit lies to defend disgusting cops.
Who knows? He probably wanted to pick it up and stab the officers, but he didn't have the courage to do it. You don't know. But
Dude, you are a piece of shit. You are a piece of shit. Brandon Tatum, if anybody takes this man seriously, they need their fucking head examined.
This is a dangerous, deadly weapon that he has right under on the floorboard. And if you watch what he's doing, he's not cooperating for.
I haven't heard anything, but I'm going to tell you something. If Brandon Tatum was right about this man, I haven't heard anything. Maybe we're going to hear it in the next fucking 20 minutes of this shit. But we didn't hear anything about McNeil's criminal history. Was there violence in McNeil's criminal history? Is he part of a gang? Because black gangs, to my knowledge, they don't really use knives to stab people. Puerto Ricans, that's a different story. If McNeil was a Puerto Rican, he had a knife, you better be careful. Yeah, Puerto Ricans use knives. So it's cultural right there, right? So does McNeil have a history of violent criminal behavior against persons or the police? Because if that was the case, Brandon Tatum would have been dry fucking that all over his content to be showing America how violent McNeil was. But instead, Brandon Tatum wants to go, he could have had a knife. He could have done this. He could have done whatever.
Large majority of the video that he did not play. All the times when he shut the door and the cop was like, "You're under arrest. Get out the car. Get out."
All the times when he shut the door once, Brandon. How many times he shut the door, Brandon? You must have been the shittiest cop ever. This is why you left law enforcement. You have no concept of facts. All the times you closed the door, oh my God, I'm so pissed I never went to college and I should have been an attorney, a defense attorney. I would have ripped this motherfucker up with all of his cases. All the times, Mr. or Officer Tatum? How many times? Because on the video, we only see one time that he closed the door. Why are you saying that it's plural? It's insane how this man is saying that he's gonna dispute and debunk Lackluster when his facts are insanely off.
Car. Who knows? He could have pulled that knife from somewhere else. You can't see what he's doing in the car.
If that's the case, Brandon, then why were no pistols drawn except for the one, right? The black cop who showed up had his pistol, which I don't know why, because there was no deadly force. Not one cop, I've talked about this again too, one of the last videos I did, McNeil, from a view that I didn't see, the black cop who showed up had his firearm drawn gangster style at McNeil through the windshield. But no one knew the knife was there. So what deadly force? Remember, it's force necessary to effect an arrest or to terminate life-threatening behavior based on the totality of the circumstances and the severity of the crime. So the black cop shows up and pulls his gun because headlights were off and his seatbelt was off. Brandon, you're trying to inflate this circumstance so that every one of your dumb two brain cell supporters says, "Oh shit, man, they should have shot this black guy on scene." Brandon, what you're doing is contributing to the escalation of use of force on American citizens based off of the fear tactic. You're giving credence to the perception of violence of cops, and you want it so that people get pulled over and it's Tackleberry from Police Academy. I'm not going to school. Pistol right out, fucking smoke canister right through the fucking windshield. You're advocating for this just because you don't want the cops to be wrong. This is how you are killing the Constitution in your review. You need to be completely exposed and deplatformed if you continue this bullshit.
That knife could have not even been there. The knife could have been in the back seat. The knife could have been on the passenger seat, and he pulled it over there and put it on his foot. You know, like, these things do matter.
But he didn't, Brandon. He didn't. Holy fuck, are you stupid? The cops could have. They could have drank before. One of the cops could have stopped at the bar before the traffic stop and had a vodka and OJ. One of the other cops could have done a line of blow before. Maybe that's why he was so violent when he pulled up. Maybe one of the other cops increased his dosage of test from 250 to 700 for that week and said, "Man, I want to see what's going on." Maybe he had a violent tendency. So we don't know, Brandon. We don't know. You cannot. It's irresponsible. And the most important, it's not fucking legal. This is not how we plead cases in the United States, by assuming, well, Your Honor, and for those of you who don't understand use of force, this is why stupid men like Brandon Tatum are the most dangerous mouthpieces for law enforcement, because Brandon Tatum, in his black excellence of conservative values, is telling you right here, it is 100% okay for the police to shoot and kill McNeil because McNeil could have gone for a knife, which doesn't fit either Tennessee versus Garner or Graham v. Connor. How did this man pass through the academy? This is insane.
The totality of circumstances. That's how irrational this guy was in the present danger that the officers were in.
Oh my God.
Just say that this is a deadly weapon. Just say it was a gun. It's the same premise.
No,
he wasn't reaching for the gun. But he got a gun right there that he could pick up and use against the cops. He got a knife he could use against the cops.
It's not illegal to have a knife on you. Maybe a fixed blade exceeding 4 inches. They'll charge him with that, UUW, unlawful use of weapon, which he wasn't using it, he was in possession of it, and Second Amendment, because it's California or Florida. Every one of you loves in Florida to have a gun, right? Florida boasts, absolutely fucking boasts, being the most gun pro state in the union. So why is this a problem? Brandon Tatum is losing this debate worse than I've ever fucking seen, and he's just pulling shit out of the fucking air to go against it, to go with his argument. I have never seen someone this unintelligent try to debate police tactics before.
These things do matter in the totality of circumstance when you're evaluating this circumstance. Roll it.
Officers lies on the police report, but we'll return to that point in a minute. McNeil was at best passively resisting an unlawful arrest and never attempted to flee. And the severity of the crime was...
I didn't see his eyes once go down to the floor where that big knife was, Brandon. Didn't see him once. So, but according to you, he was ready to fucking gut them all like fishes.
So incredibly low that nearly every officer that responded to the scene was in active violation of the same law McNeil. Every officer that responded...
Look at those headlights. I don't see the headlights flashing. You got the strobe, the blue and red strobe going off, but the lights themselves are not flashing.
Responded to the scene was in active violation of the same law McNeil was originally pulled over for. No headlights, no headlights, no headlights. Not to mention that one...
That doesn't matter. I already said it is exempt. But when it comes to saying that a person is passive aggressive, this guy, the thing that reasonable...
Dear Lord, do I have to finish this? I've never heard fucking such tap dancing and bullshit. Tatum needs to be a politician. He needs to run for office. The amount of fucking shit that is coming out of his mouth right now. He'd fit in. He spent so much time rubbing elbows with conservatives, and I'm anti-government. Both sides fucking suck. He has spent so much time going to premier events. He talks just like them.
People in the courts look at is, what is the officer's observation of what's happening? If a person is just sitting there like this, that does not mean that they're not a threat. The threat level is that the person is non-compliant for the last X amount of time. When they knock the window out,
what was it? It was less than 3 minutes. He was non-compliant for less than 3 minutes, sat there having a conversation with the backup unit. Wasn't making threats, never used a swear word, never said, fuck you, make me get out of the car. I don't know, Brandon. I think you were a cop for 6 years. I'm thinking you were either behind a desk somewhere, maybe cataloging evidence, dispatch, something like that. I don't think you ever had any type of interactions with citizens because you know who's a threat and who is not.
The officer want to stun him while they're trying to open the door. That's nothing wrong with that. You can stun the guy to get him disoriented, to get him all back, so you can unlock the door and take care of business without you.
No, Brandon, actually you can't. It exceeds the use of force because the subject was not preventing them from doing anything. A stunning technique on the use of force continuum is meant to change the state and the behavior of the subject. Well, the subject's just sitting there. What did you want him to do? As glass is flowing at his face and people are coming in, do you want the subject to go in the direction of what the arms are coming in and the glass is what doing? He was just sat there. He just sat there. So the stunning technique was not a stunning technique. It was punishment. It was a frustrated, pissed off cop because like you, remember? Like you. Well, he had a knife. He could have done this. He could have done that. Well, the cops were pissed at a black man who was not obeying them, so they wanted to hurt him. It was not a stunning technique. It was punishment.
Just sitting there jangling with the door. Hold on, man. You good? Okay. You got a knife or gun in there? You grab it while I'm doing this right here. If an officer believes that, hey, let me...
Yeah, you can't do that, Brandon. You open the door, and then you got your pistol pointed at the... Don't move. Don't fucking move. I'm opening this door. You cover... So another officer opens the door. There's a lot of things you can do. Again, tactics. Apparently, you have never been in a traffic stop. The more you talk, the more I think Officer Brandon Tatum was kind of like an honorary title, like Shaquille O'Neal or Lou Ferrigno or Steven Seagal who got their badges. I think that's what you were like right there.
Stun him real quick. get his, what do you call it in law enforcement? Get his OODA loop off. So
whatever you call it in law enforcement, whatever you call Brandon, I don't think you were ever a cop.
He's kind of dazed.
An OODA loop, wasn't that being caught in a vicious cycle of something? What vicious cycle is he being caught in? He's sitting. I don't know.
I'm going to do the door, and we're going to get this thing done. We're going to pull him out of the car. The officer can deem that that's necessary to execute an arrest.
God, I want to read your reports. And the officer got this thing doing. My God, is this horse shit. 15 minutes left. Dear God, someone fucking just help. 14 minutes. Someone help me.
When you've never done this before and you don't know the height, suspicion, and things that go on like this, you would be like, oh, you just did it for no reason. Well, the courts evaluated and they didn't agree with you.
Plea deal.
Not the courts, but at least the prosecutor's office, they didn't agree with you.
Plea deal.
Wrote a clip.
Plea deal. Plea deal. Don't accuse lackluster of not knowing what law enforcement is when you haven't said a fucking accurate thing about law enforcement in the last 21 minutes and 10 seconds.
And then he was ordered out of the vehicle. McNeil responded with, all right.
Step out now.
They said, first of all, he's resisting. They told him to get out 7 or 8 times already. He said...
He's passive resisting, Brandon. Is this how you parent? You have kids, right? Go clean your room. Go clean your room. Do you rip them out of the chair when they sit there and they don't say anything? Because I want to hear you. I want to hear if you're pro this, then you have to be pro beating your kids. You have to. Discipline. Oh, straw man's argument. That's just shows your state of fucking mind. He's sitting there. Where's he gonna go? How the fight or flight human body response. The guy just had glass busted in on his face. Anybody ever get dumped? You ever go, your girlfriend drops you out of nowhere and you just sit there in complete disbelief of what happens? Didn't anybody see McNeil's face when they busted the windshield? He was in complete, utter, stupefied shock of what was going on. Because what's the big deal? I didn't have my lights on. He wasn't a hardened criminal. Baggie of weed, for the love of fucking God, it's a joke. Baggie of weed, large knife on the floor, what a fucking joke. McNeil was shocked as shit that 5 cops showed up. Somebody pointed a gun in his face. Not to mention, right here, Brandon, do you see this man, Brandon Tatum? Right here, I'll enlarge it. Here, while you're trying to explain that he should have gotten out of the fucking car, what is McNeil supposed to do? I would love for you to debunk this video, Brandon. I'm going to tag this. I'm going to title this, Officer Brandon Tatum is the stupidest man alive. So here's a guy with a gun pointed in his face, and you want this guy to move? He's going to move quickly, and he's going to get lit the fuck up with a hailstorm of bullets. This kid is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. But according to Brandon Tatum, when you got glass being busted in your face after you trying to find out why you were pulled over in the first place, and a guy has a gun pointing at you, here's Brandon Tatum. Fucking jump. Come on, boy. Jump. Are you out of your fucking mind? This kid had no idea what was going on. We all talk about it in law enforcement, right? Because remember, let's talk about this as well, too. It's the cops when we talk about auditory exclusion, tunnel vision, when they get in something like a shooting, right? Cop will fire their gun 10 or 15 times, and you're not supposed to say, oh, officer, how many times did you fire your gun? Shut the fuck up, ask for a lawyer, go to the hospital. No. Answer your supervisor right now. I shot 12 times. No, you actually shot 15. Because auditory exclusion, you didn't hear what was going on. Tunnel vision, you couldn't see what was going on. So why is it we only give that to the police? We only fucking afford that physical incidence of your sensory overload to the police. But the public, he just got fucking glass rained in on him, loud noise, got punched in the face, sees a fucking gun pointed at him, but you expect him to act like a normal human being? Brandon Tatum, you are the dumbest, most dangerous man in law enforcement. Shut the fuck up. Never critique incidents like this again.
He not. They break the window out. Get out of the car. He refused. He got the doors locked. He's not opening the door. They had to knock the window out to get him out. Then they had
because if he fucking moves his hands, he's going to be shot by this cop who is right here, right where my cursor's going. You see his hands like this because he sees a fucking gun pointed at him. He sees a gun pointed at him, Brandon. You can't be this foolish. Get out of the car. Homeboy right there has his 45 pointer right at my face. I ain't fucking moving. Not until you give me permission to, and you tell me exactly what you want me to do.
Open the door and pull the seatbelt off of him to get him out. And people say he had a seatbelt. No, he put the seatbelt on during this traffic stop to cause this problem, right? Because then they can't just pull him out. They gotta undo the seatbelt and all that. He refused to get out. Then when they go to pull him out, he go, okay. But then he says, they go, put your hands behind your back. He said, no, don't touch me. He said, no, don't touch. He's holding his.
Fight or flight, Brandon. It's an automatic body response. No, don't touch me, because he has no fucking clue what's going on. No clue what's going on. It is a natural response of the human body. I've talked about, again, this is how I know you were never a cop. Never. You get a pig pile, 5 cops beating the shit out of everybody. Stop resisting, just relax, when it is the natural human body's response to protect themselves. He doesn't know what's going on, Brandon. He just got a fucking face full of glass, a punch in the face. He's getting ripped out of the car. A gun was pointed at his head because he didn't have his lights on. Didn't have his lights on. And it wasn't raining. So now all of a sudden he thinks he's targeted. This kid is completely fucking defeated off the bat, thinking he's probably thinking the entire time, I'm going to fucking die. You think he's thinking about reaching for a knife? You think he's thinking about fucking resisting and fighting? The kid was probably sitting there going, I am going to fucking die today. God, are you such a piece of shit?
Arms resisting arrest. And this guy saying he was compliant. No, he wasn't. Roll it.
All right.
And likely would have allowed the deputies to remove him, cuff him, and put him in a cruiser. But instead, 3 deputies pulled him in.
How's he supposed to comply, Brandon? When they go right to a fucking headlock and a double armbar. What are you gonna do? We're all gonna resist.
Opposite directions while they punched him and threw him to the ground. In fact,
he
when
was
viewing
resisting.
the body cam frame by frame,
You know what? You're just a fucking vile human being. You're just a vile human being, Brandon. You know, it's like, God forbid, one of your fucking family members is ever attacked or raped. It's like, well, you should have just gone along with the rapist and it would have been over quicker. That's your mindset. That's your mindset. Well, don't resist. Don't resist. It's impossible. It's an ingrained lizard brain, fight or flight, DNA, it's survival of the fittest, just hierarchy passed on genetic trait for all of us to prevent ourselves from being hurt. He was resisting. It's not possible, Brandon. It is physically fucking impossible not to tense up, not to try to shield yourself. You want him to go down fucking not protecting his face as they're taking him down to the ground, he's going to resist because you automatically do this. You were never a cop. It's not possible. It is not possible Brandon Tatum was ever a police officer. I am calling complete bullshit on this.
McNeil can be seen putting his hands behind his back before saying, no, don't punch me.
Hold on. Listen to this guy. He said, McNeil said, no, don't punch me. Where does he get no, don't punch me? If a guy is wrestling with the cops, he's not saying, no, don't punch me when nobody punched him. He's saying, don't touch me. He's telling them, don't touch me.
He was punched automatically once already, Brandon. How does anybody take this man seriously? He was punched when they broke through the window. They punched him in the face. So maybe he forgot the word again. Don't punch me again. Even if he said, don't touch me. Whatever the case is, Brandon, I don't understand. I cannot comprehend why you are fighting so. You have made the biggest fool of yourself with this video.
And this guy is saying that he said, don't punch me. The transcript that was put into the video associated with the body-worn camera has don't touch me. I hear him say, don't touch me. Why would this guy say that he said don't punch me? I don't
understand why you take the smallest of things and you're mocking Lackluster for this on what word he said. I've never been more embarrassed for anyone than I am of you right now. For you right now. I feel so sorry for you right now.
It's the craziest thing ever. Roll the clip.
It's the craziest thing ever. Somebody heard "don't punch me." Don't punch, touch, punch, touch. The similarity between the words. I mean, holy shit, you can clearly hear how non-dissimilar they are. Oh my God.
They forced his arms behind his back.
But despite Neil saying don't...
Time out. They forced his arms behind his back, and just because they got his arm here, he's still resisting. He's not here with his arms behind his back. He's resisting, and they're pulling his arms behind his back.
I'm doing this for you guys. Yeah, Brandon, because when he's going to be taken down to the ground, he's trying to break his fall. Put your hands behind your back, Brandon, nobody behind you, and fall on the ground. Smack your face. Let's see what you do. Let's see if you keep your hands behind your back. I cannot believe how hard this fool is trying to qualify his argument. I said it before, I have never seen a more stupid human being than Brandon Tatum.
He's not complying. Complying would be, as soon as he got the car, no, he said, no, don't touch me. And then they pulled it.
I'm not going to lose it. You can't. I'm going to try and calm down. You can't comply when two guys jump on you immediately, Brandon. You can't. You just can't. I am so glad you put this up here. This is insane. You have literally exposed yourself in the best way possible. No one should ever take you seriously again.
And one hit him in the face. Like, they had to wrestle this guy to the ground. He's looking for a payday, clearly. He wants to fight. He wants to get it out so he can say, oh, they abused me and I want a payday. Roll the clip.
Punch me.
No, don't touch me. Stop, pause it. Go back a little bit, Nick. All right, right there. I want to play the little words in this guy's video. Play it. No. Watch this. Pause.
What fucking difference does it make? Punch, touch, they're both the same thing. You're making contact with a human being. What does it matter, Brandon? This is how you try to debunk shit? Continue.
Even in this guy's own notes on the side, which he added, don't punch me, it say, no. They're saying, put your hands behind your back. No. He's saying, no. He's resisting. Don't touch me. That's what he's saying. He's resisting. He didn't get out and comply. He didn't get out and say, okay, officers, I'm giving up. Here, I'm putting my hand behind the back. He gets out and stands.
It's kind of hard to comply when somebody pulls you right out of the door. You want answers for something, and you're getting punched and you're getting double arm barred. Literally, he's got both hands behind his back, and the initial traffic cop is pulling him down in a front, two hands front, and then uppercuts him, and his hands are behind his back. Brandon, you can't defend this. You can't. It's not. You're not a good human being. You are not a good human being.
Up and said, don't touch me, and he's resisting, and it take 3 or 4 officers to force his hands behind his back, and he would still be standing up fighting him if the officer didn't check him on the chin.
Brandon, what was he fighting? Oh man, my blood pressure is through the roof. I've never heard a more disgusting fucking human being than Brandon Tatum shoot his mouth off like this.
That officer believed that utilizing that level of force is what executes the arrest, and did it or did it not. He was fighting.
What executes the arrest? Affects the arrest. You were never a cop. Never.
He was standing up. They trying to get his arms behind his back. When he hit him on the chin, that's when he complied and went down to the ground passively. He still wasn't putting his hands behind his back where they can handcuff. All this is happening.
Brandon, you're in Texas, right? You think you're in Texas? Fly me out. Let me fucking punch you in the face, and let's see if you'll put your hands behind your back. Let's do this. Let's raise money for this. I get to punch you in the fucking face to see whether or not you can have your hands behind your back. I want to see if that works. We'll do that. Just let me know if we're going to do that.
In the seconds. Now, people who prosecute this stuff and people who are reasonable understand how this stuff happens in seconds. There's a slight delay, right? Meaning that don't do this and the guy says boom. He could be doing boom while they finally got his arm here. This stuff is happening in seconds. So a prosecutor is not going to look at this and say, well, technically, if you look at the 1/100,000th of a second, he kind of punched him as his arm was going back. So technically.
Yes, prosecutors will do that because they talk about the study of when police officers get in shootings to justify why cops will shoot people in the back. They will say, well, wait a second, the officer's perception of a threat visually processed by his brain or his eyes into his brain sends signals down his spinal cord for the officer to take his pistol out, come up on fire. By the time the officer pulled the trigger, the subject had already turned around, but the processing was still going on. Once again, hypocrisy. So you will use this and say that they don't do this when they do it for cops all the fucking time. Low light condition shootings. Well, the officer thought the perception of what was in the subject's hands was a gun when it was actually a cell phone. So you're not willing to do it for a subject, but you're willing to do it for cops. Completely insane.
His arm is back and his fist is here, right on hit his beard, hit a little string of hair on his chin. Technically, it contacted his body at the 1/1000 millionth of a second. And then in his mind, he was thinking about complying, so the officer was wrong. Nobody's thinking about that. These things are happening, and they give leeway to officers on the circumstances and how fast things are moving. Roll the clip. Once he hit him, he went down.
Clerk added subtitles that read, "Don't touch me."
He hit him because he went down because he's got another guy on his back forcing him down, Brandon.
Seconds
Don't touch
before
me.
being punched a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh time.
8. He was hit in total of 8 times. The initial traffic officer punched him through the window, hit him with the uppercut. Backup officer struck him 6 times about the body when they were putting him into custody. 8 times total.
Behind your back! I'm resisting! Behind your
So
back!
stop right there. This dude has a problem with the punches in the thighs. First of all, that's not the same officer. The responding officer back there was punching him in the thighs to get.
That just means they all couldn't wait for him to get out of the car to beat the shit out of a black man. They were all jonesing. They needed their fix of fucking racial profiling that day. Man, the hole you have dug is insane. My God, I cannot believe. Wow.
Get him to comply, to put his hands behind his back, fully compliant. It's not compliant because your hands are not here anymore. It's not compliant when your hands are here. It's not compliant when your hands are here. It's not compliant when your hands are here. It's compliant when your hands are where the officer wants your hands so he can put the handcuffs on. Just because your hands are near your back.
No, it's not compliant when they're at, because they can still resist, Brandon. There's no compliance. Even when the cuffs are on, somebody could wind up resisting. So it's compliance when the fucking subject completely goes limp and says, okay, I'm done. So you don't even know what compliance is.
Doesn't mean that you've complied. So officers hitting him in reasonable leg strikes to get him to comply fully with their commands to
Objectively reasonable standard and the severity of the crime. At this point, the severity of the crime was passive resisting, refusing to come out of the car. And he's reacting to being punched in the face and being ripped out of the car, being punched in the face again while somebody's holding his arms behind his back. I say that it is extremely justifiable that a human being's automatic body response system to protect themselves from physical violence trumps the concept that he was physically resisting the cops trying to put them in arrest. They were not trying to take him into custody. They were trying to beat the shit out of him.
put your hands behind your back so that they can handcuff him. And this guy is not on the ground with him, so they don't know the level of resistance that he's putting up against the officers. You can't see it. You're not there. You're not physically on this guy. If he was not resisting, it would have taken one officer to put his hands on his back. But all these officers had to jump on him. One had to punch him and do all this just to get his hands on his back. And it's not unreasonable for an officer to hit him in the legs to get him to comply. Now, if you see him complying and the officer's still punching him and beating him and hitting him in the face, then we'll have a different scenario. The officer's punching him in the legs. Once he feel like the guy has fully complied, he stop punching his legs. That's reasonable.
You just went on this big tangent. You just went on this whole thing about the length of time and the prosecution is taken into consideration. So he just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I feel he's not resisting anymore. He blasted him 6 times, legs, up, lower torso, and then he just stopped. He didn't feel anything. He just stopped. It wasn't a decision to stop punching him based on the feel. He got his licks in that he wanted to, and then he stopped. You are contradicting yourself with every new segment of your counter debate to Lackluster, as Lackluster just kicked the shit out of you. And I'm just, this is insane. This is unbelievable.
Punching him in the face. He wasn't trying to elbow him in the spine. He was punching him in the thighs to get him to comply. Reasonable use of force.
Not even fucking close.
Based on the officer's belief that they're doing what they need to do to execute an arrest.
I've never heard that. Yeah, use of force. Well, it's based on the officers believing what they need to do to execute an arrest. It's force necessary to effect an arrest based on the totality of the circumstances, the objectively reasonable standard, and the severity of the crime at hand. Brandon, oh my God, you are clueless about this profession.
Simple, man. Roll the clip.
Same clerk added officer unintelligible when the officer yells clearly, "Stop fighting," before punching McNeil in the legs and lower body several times, though McNeil already had his hands behind his back despite being punched.
Time out. He don't have the right hand behind his back. The officer is pulling his left hand behind his back. His right hand is not connected to his left hand.
Yeah, you know what would have made more sense instead of punching him then? Than helping to pull that fucking hand behind his back. Doesn't that kind of make sense, Brandon? But go ahead.
Hands are not behind his back like this. One is halfway behind his back being pulled by one officer. The other one is not even behind his back. It's kind of hanging out to the side because he's resisting. What do you mean his hands are behind his back? Because you see one arm that had to be forced back there. You're saying his hands are behind. No, one arm is forced back there. The other one is not even connected where you can put handcuffs on him. It's still hanging off to the side over there. His hands are not behind.
All right, here's what I see. Somebody leaning. Here we go. You got him. Initial traffic stop officer, Fatty McGee, is forcing his face down into the ground. So I got a question for you, Brandon. If somebody is rubbing your face into the concrete, are you just going to fucking just comply? Just comply. That's number one. Number two, you got an officer twisting his arm one back way. That's to gain compliance. Here's a hand with the black hand here. I don't even know what they're doing. There's no pressure on him, no attempt to get the cuffs. So that's a useless hand. This is a useless hand here. And I don't know what this hand is doing. So we have a free hand. What is it doing? Punching instead of securing the hand in the handcuffs. So they're so worried about the hand. How come this hand is doing nothing? This hand is doing nothing. And 2 hands are being held on his head. Why? Because this is force necessary to effect the arrest. Anybody with a brain in their head knows this.
Behind his back. Roll it.
Face twice, thrown to the ground, and having his face mashed into the pavement. After the incident, Deputy Bowers wrote in his incident report, the suspect was reaching for the floorboard of the vehicle where a large knife was sitting. This was obviously written to obfuscate the truth so idiots like Tatum would point and say, "See, had knife," and to justify what he already knew was excessive force.
Not one time, and I'm going to be done with it now because it's pointless. I've already debunked everything he said in this video. No,
you haven't. You've made yourself look like the biggest fucking lying piece of shit on the planet. But go ahead.
It's more. I'll play a little bit more. But not one time did anybody say that any justification was even argued because he had a knife in the car.
I'm sorry, Brandon. What was that again? Hang on.
One time did everything he said in this video. No, it's more. I'll play a little bit more. But not one time did anybody say that any justification was even argued because he had a knife in the car. People only brought up the knife, including the sheriff, was simply because they're explaining the totality of the danger in this situation.
Brandon Tatum. Anthony McNeil's arrest was justified. He was resisting lawful orders, had a knife, and was in possession of drugs. Brandon, your own words. This is how any normal person reads this. He was resisting lawful orders and he had a knife. Holy shit, he had a knife while he was resisting. Brandon, you are a fucking liar.
The guy's literally resisting arrest for several minutes, shutting the door, locking the door, and doing all that, and he has a knife on the floorboard. This guy which is a deadly weapon in close proximity to him. But that doesn't have nothing to do with anything else because nobody argued that. I didn't argue it in my op-ed. The sheriff didn't argue it. Nobody's arguing that they did this because he had a knife. They're just explaining that this guy had a weapon in close proximity. And I don't know what the officer saw. I wasn't there. They're the ones undoing.
Whoa. You don't know what the officer saw, right? You don't know that. But clearly, if we go back to the beginning of this with the traffic stop portion, you said the officer observed him not wearing a seatbelt. You observed that. That's what you said, right? So now which is it? You don't know what the officer saw, or you do know what the officer saw? The level of clairvoyancy you have, Brandon, is unbelievable. You need to be teaching classes.
They could undo the thing and see the knife right there. They may not want to draw attention to the knife because they don't want him to grab the knife. I don't know. But you
didn't watch the body camera footage. You did not watch the body camera footage. 49 seconds after the initial punch through the glass window, the cover officer stated there's a large knife. 49 seconds. He was already out of the vehicle. So we do know you didn't watch the body camera footage.
There, you're going to have an uphill battle to try to argue that the officer did see or didn't see something when he was right there. You're not going to win that in court. The officer can say, yeah, I saw it, but I didn't want to say nothing because I didn't want him to grab the knife. I didn't want to draw attention to it. The officer can say whatever you want to say. The fact that you're not there, you don't know what they saw and what they were feeling and what their justification was. It's really according to what they've said, and the limited body-worn camera can give you insight in part to what they thought, saw, and feel, and the reason why they reacted the way they did.
So if that's the case, then we know the traffic stop was illegal because we didn't see any inclement weather. We could not observe the seatbelt being worn, and 49 seconds after the window was punched and the subject was already removed from the vehicle, they observed the knife. Thank you, Brandon. We agree. We finally agree on something.
But here's another, it goes a little further, and I'm going to finish it here. Roll it.
Face it, if the officer didn't know that it was excessive force, why lie about it in the report?
Soon after McNeil was outside his car, officers found a large, unsheathed serrated knife on the driver's side floorboard.
But the fact is, the deputy knew that the incident was being recorded from inside the vehicle, which clearly showed that McNeil never even so much as glanced towards the knife.
Pause. This is exactly rebutting his own point. The officer knew McNeil was recording. He had his own body-worn camera recording. Now, why would you think an officer would tell a complete lie when he know the guy's recording it?
Because it was a different officer, you fucking retard. The initial officer. Go watch the body cam. You didn't watch the body camera footage. No one should take you seriously. Oh my God, would please somebody flood Brandon Tatum's DMs with this video? Because the first contact officer who made the traffic stop was the one who said, I'm recording too. He knew about it. The secondary officer, he's the one who we're now looking from the body camera footage because Miller wasn't the one who pulled him over. I think it was Bowman was. He's the one who went in there and pulled it off. He didn't know he was recording. He's the one who said on the body camera footage to Bowman, after Bowman's hand was cut and you see it, he goes, careful, he's recording. Oh my, you didn't watch the video. You didn't watch it. So Brandon Tatum, you just embarrassed yourself in front of everyone.
He know the guy's recording. When he did with the palm strike, he know the guy's recording.
It's a different cop, you stupid. Oh God.
Because he said, I'm recording too. So you think the officer, knowing that video evidence is there, knowing his body-worn camera evidence is there, and you think he's gonna just make up a lie? When the officer takes the body-worn camera off, you load it onto a dock. That dock is downloaded by a third-party company that makes hundreds of millions of dollars storing footage of body-worn camera. I wish I'd have came out with that job. But cops can't review it. There's no video, there's no computers and stuff typically. Now, I don't know what technology has come to today, but when we were there, the body-worn camera just came out, and guys used to take their body on camera, put it on a dock in the briefing room where they charge, and when you put it on the charger, it downloads to a third-party company that we don't have access to unless for you request it. Not for you request it, but we have to request the footage. And then the footage don't go to you, it go to the records department. The cop don't get it. It goes to the records department. And then it's, I don't know how many hours of footage that's on there, and it's available to the public. Anyway, I wanna hit this last point and I'm done. Roll it. I want to get to the Tyree Nichols thing, and then we can be done with this. Yeah, let's get to it. So he just says all this stuff that's pointless. Talk about compliance, whatever. Then he gets to this part. Play it.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you comply, you won't die. It's as simple as that. Funny, he said the same thing about the murder of Tyree Nichols, who was beat to death by several cops.
I'm done. I'm not going to get into this. I haven't reviewed the Tyree Nichols case and all this. Daniel Zimmerman, I hate you. I hate you for making me do this. I have never seen a more stupid man. I don't have an ounce of respect for Brandon Tatum. Used to be because he called me a racist who's the problem in law enforcement. Now, I don't have an ounce of respect for him for getting an uncountable number of facts wrong on this, including the two different officers that he was just evaluating at the end of this. He did not watch the body camera footage. He didn't. He made so many projections and assumptions and could not even state proper law enforcement steps, terms. Insane. Doesn't even know the definition of things like inclement weather or what rain looks like. Unbelievable. All of us to steal from Billy Madison are now dumber from having listened to Officer Brandon Tatum. He is an utter cancer in law enforcement. If you listen to this man, you are more stupid and do not know what police. Brandon Tatum will get more cops killed, will get more citizens killed, and will continue. He wants to rid the public. He's probably being paid by the conservative party to heighten the level of force that cops can use against citizens in order to take away your constitutional rights. I am starting to believe that Tatum is on the paid agenda of getting the people to give up their rights willingly by the bullshit he espouses. Appreciate your time. We all need a shower after watching that because we are all covered in his fucking bullshit. Have a great day.